My name is Brittany Willis, and this is my presentation for Planning for Better Behavior. So before we talk about the wanted behavior, we should understand what causes challenging behavior. One example would be expectations. So the expectations set might not be developmentally appropriate for that child's level. They might misunderstand what is expected of them, and that can result in problems and unwanted behavior. Boredom breeds behavior. That's something as a teacher I've been told multiple times. If a child doesn't have something to do, they will find something to do and it might not align with what you would like them to do. The developmental skills of a child can cause challenging behavior. So depending where they're at with self-control, emotional regulation, how impulsive they are, all of these skills that they're building during this time can really weigh into what kind of behaviors they show. And there are physical and emotional needs that can cause challenging behavior. So a child might just be tired, not feeling well, they didn't eat breakfast, they didn't sleep. These are all things that can cause unwanted behaviors. The case I'll be working with today is a 2-year-old boy named Colin, and his negative behavior is biting peers. So Colin frequently plays in the block area and especially loves playing with trucks. This is where the biting instance occurs, typically when another child is using the truck that Colin wants. If he's unable to grab the toy from the peer, he will shout no and then bite. After biting, he often cries and he needs teacher support to be able to calm down. This is something that's happened frequently and is really only related to this one area. He's not seen biting at any other times of the day. So there are different ideas for what the function of this behavior might be. So some context is Colin has limited speech. He frequently uses only 1 to 2 word phrases, and he does receive speech services to work on that. So because of his limited speech, it could be frustration due to inability to effectively communicate. When he wants a toy, if he can't verbally say, "It's my turn, I want that toy, give it to me," and by grabbing it, if he can't get it right away, his first response might be go to biting. And that is because biting gets an immediate response. It's a quick fix to the problem, and actually it gets immediate attention. So it could be an attention-seeking behavior. Because he's still developing his speech skills, it makes it difficult for him to express himself, so that's where the frustration comes in. So really it could just be a combination of frustration, inability to communicate, and just that repeated behavior of getting that quick response and that needed attention. It is important to note, though, that because Colin is so upset afterwards, I think he does recognize that it is affecting the other child in a negative way. He might be feeling some guilt or shame about that. That's why he reacts so negatively, so that's something important to consider. When creating a plan, it's important to pay attention to where and when this behavior occurs. This can help the teacher be proactive. So in Colin's case, this is happening in the block area. So as a teacher, you would definitely pay close attention to Colin in that block area and be there to support him when he needs it. You would focus on building communication skills. So if his skill level is 1 to 2 word phrases, then you should be building phrases like my turn or turn please, or even help to get the teacher's attention if he feels like he can't address the problem himself. Another thing would be recognizing how his peers feel, creating empathy. As mentioned before, I think this is something he's already recognizing, so really delving deep into that, saying, how do you think so-and-so's feeling right now? How can you tell she's feeling that way? How can we help? So that goes into creating the solution to the problem. What do you think we can do to fix this? Maybe it's getting an ice pack. Maybe it's saying sorry. Maybe it's, giving the friend a hug. Something to have him recognize that this is a problem that needs to be solved. And finally, having a firm but appropriate expectation. We can bite food. We cannot bite friends. Telling him when biting is appropriate and when it is not appropriate in a way that he understands. And finally, you should really consider the environment. There are a lot of changes and ways to set up your environment to be proactive. So having multiple of the same toys. If you know that Colin really likes this truck, and when another child uses this truck, it becomes a problem, having more than one of those trucks can create a very easy solution. Making sure that the area is big enough. So maybe giving more space between Colin and the other children. And you can even limit the amount of children in there. If 4 children in one area seems to be a bit overwhelming, reduce it down to 3, maybe even 2. Another thing with the area is make sure it's easy to access, that you have teacher proximity. Biting happens very quick, so it's very important to be as close as you can to the situation and address it immediately. And then you can also use things like visual cues. You can have a timer to help with turn taking and sharing. You could use visual cards that show, my turn, share, help, all those phrases that you are working on with him as well. And here are some of the references I used.